The stars stretched endlessly across the black sea of space. Among them, a great alien ship floated silently, glowing with silver light. Inside that ship lived Queen Zillara, ruler of her proud and ancient people. Her people believed themselves advanced beyond all other races. They looked at humans as weak creatures, small and unworthy. More than that, they believed humans could not even reproduce outside their own planet. To them, humans were a fading species, soon to vanish. One human, however, had been captured. His name was Daniel, a young scientist from Earth. He had been taken during an exploration mission near a forgotten moon. The aliens kept him alive for study, watching his body and mind with curiosity. Daniel lived in a chamber of glass and steel under the Queen's order. He felt like an insect in a jar, yet he refused to break. Each day, he observed the aliens as much as they observed him. He waited for a chance for something to change. Queen Zillara often came to see him. At first, she thought of him as nothing more than a rare animal. But Daniel's calm eyes made her pause. Unlike other prisoners she had seen before, he showed no fear. He asked questions, he spoke with courage. And slowly, the Queen found herself intrigued. She wondered, how could such a fragile creature show such strength? One night, the Queen ordered Daniel to be brought into her laboratory. The room glowed with blue crystal lights, filled with strange machines. The aliens wanted to run another test on him. The Queen herself stood behind the controls. Daniel lay on a metal platform, but he did not struggle. Instead, he watched her closely. "Why do you test me again and again?" he asked. His voice was steady, almost calm. The Queen hesitated, then spoke. "Because your kind should not exist as you claim. Humans are weak. They cannot grow. They cannot spread beyond their world. You are fading. Your blood is thin." Daniel gave a small smile. "You think you know everything about humans," he said, "but maybe you have not seen everything yet." The Queen frowned at his words. Something about his tone unsettled her. It was not arrogance, it was certainty, as if he knew a truth she did not. The test began, lights scanning over his body. Strange symbols moved across the screens. At first, everything looked normal, but then an unusual pattern appeared. The machines beeped with warning tones. The alien scientists looked at one another in confusion. "Impossible," one of them whispered. The Queen narrowed her eyes. "What is it?" she demanded. The scientist hesitated, then bowed his head. "My Queen, there are signs of compatibility. This human seed carries strength we did not expect." The Queen's heart pounded, though she did not show it. Compatibility? That was not possible. Her people had studied humans for centuries. They had always believed reproduction between human and alien was a myth. Yet the data glowed on the screen, clear and undeniable. Daniel saw the shock in their faces. He leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "You see now," he said, "humans are not as weak as you thought. We adapt. We survive. We rise where others fall." The Queen's gaze locked on his. For the first time in her life, she felt doubt. Could it be that humans were more than just fragile creatures? Could it be that they held a hidden strength her people had overlooked? That night, the Queen could not sleep. She sat alone in her chamber. Her thoughts twisted like a storm. She remembered Daniel's words, his fearless eyes, and the strange results that defied her people's belief. Her hand rested on her chest, as if she felt something stirring within her. A whisper of fear, a whisper of curiosity, perhaps even something more. Daniel, locked in his chamber, also lay awake. He knew something had changed. The Queen's eyes had betrayed her calm. He had planted a seed of doubt in her heart. And with doubt came possibility. He smiled faintly in the dark. For the first time since his capture, he felt the story of humanity was only beginning. Far above, the alien ship drifted across the stars. Silent, endless, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. The Queen did not yet know it, but her life and her entire empire was about to change forever. The alien ship moved in silence through the endless night of space. Inside its glowing halls, tension grew like a shadow. Queen Zillera could not forget the results of the last test. Her mind replayed the strange readings over and over again. It was not only impossible, it was dangerous. If humans carried a hidden strength, it meant her people's knowledge was incomplete, and nothing threatened her empire more than the unknown. The queen ordered more experiments. She wanted proof, she wanted answers. Daniel was taken from his glass chamber and brought once again to the laboratory. This time, the room was filled with more machines. Silver arms stretched out like claws, glowing crystals hummed with light. Alien scientists stood ready, their eyes fixed on the human subject. Daniel walked calmly, his wrists bound by shining cuffs. But his steps were steady, his gaze unbroken. He looked around, his sharp mind already studying every detail. The queen stood at the center, her tall form wrapped in royal armor. She looked at him with cold authority, but deep inside her chest, something burned, confusion mixed with curiosity. "You will answer my questions today," she declared. "Your body carries secrets that cannot exist. If humans are truly capable of reproduction beyond their planet, then the history of my people is built on lies." Daniel tilted his head, a small smile on his lips. "You fear the truth," he said softly. "That is why you keep me here. Not to study me, but to protect your pride." The queen's eyes narrowed. His words cut deeper than she wanted to admit. Still, she gave the order. The machines came alive with a roar of light. Scanners swept across Daniel's body. The walls filled with shifting symbols and alien numbers. At first the results appeared normal, but then the same strange patterns appeared again. The symbols glowed brighter, forming shapes the scientist had never seen before. The air grew heavy, filled with electric tension. The lead scientist stepped back in disbelief. "My queen," he whispered. "The human, his seed, is adapting to our readings. It is changing even as we watch. It is alive in a way we cannot explain." The queen's heart froze. Alive? Adapting? That was the power her people had always claimed only for themselves. Humans were supposed to be limited, fragile, unworthy, but the data said otherwise. Daniel watched them closely. He could see fear in their faces. "Now you see," he said quietly. "Humans are more than you believe. We do not fade, we evolve. We survive, even the darkest places." The queen turned to him, her voice sharp. "Why do you speak as if you know the outcome already?" Daniel met her eyes without fear. "Because I know my people, and I know myself. We were made to endure. Even here, in your prison, I am not broken." The queen felt her control slipping. She should have silenced him. She should have dismissed the test. But instead, she wanted to hear more. She wanted to understand. "Run deeper analysis," she ordered. The machines shifted, lights growing hotter. Daniel's blood was drawn, his cells studied. The screens filled with images, cells dividing, adapting, glowing with energy. The scientists gasped. "This is beyond anything we know," one muttered. Another whispered, "If the queen were to carry such life, it would mean—" He stopped, afraid to finish the thought. The queen's chest tightened. She understood what they meant, but she could not allow herself to believe it. Still, a strange heat rose in her body. A whisper in her blood she could not explain. Was it fear or something else? Daniel leaned forward, his voice low but steady. "You test me because you want to know the truth," he said, "but the truth is not found in machines. It is found in what happens next. Are you ready to face it, Queen of the Stars?" The laboratory fell into silence. Every alien I turned toward their ruler. For the first time, Queen Zillera did not know what to say. She, who had conquered worlds, who had never doubted her strength, now stood uncertain before one human. Daniel's words echoed in her mind long after he was taken back to his chamber. She sat alone in the dark. Her hand trembled as it touched the edge of her abdomen. She told herself it was only her imagination, but deep inside, something whispered a different truth. The experiments had not just revealed possibility. They had already begun something she could no longer stop. The ship sailed through the stars, silent and vast. But inside, the Queen's world was no longer steady. The discovery was no longer just data. It was personal, and soon it would change everything. The alien ship glided through the endless night. But inside its shining walls, Queen Zillara's heart was restless. The results of the experiments haunted her every waking moment. Numbers and symbols could be denied, but the feeling inside her could not. It was small at first, like a shadow at the edge of her thoughts. But with each passing day, the shadow grew stronger. She had been trained to believe humans were weak. Her teachers, her ancestors, her council, everyone repeated the same truth. Humans could not reproduce beyond their home. They were a dying flame, soon to vanish. Yet when she looked at Daniel, she did not see weakness. She saw calm eyes, unbroken spirit, and now she feared she saw something else, a dangerous possibility she had never imagined. The Queen began to watch him secretly. She ordered the guards to bring him food at different hours. She had the cameras turned to record his movements when he thought he was alone. But the more she watched, the more questions filled her mind. Daniel did not behave like a prisoner. He paced like a man planning something. He whispered to himself, as if speaking to someone unseen. Sometimes he would stop, close his eyes, and smile faintly. It was as if he carried hope inside his chest, a hope she could not break. One evening, she came to his chamber in silence. No guards, no council, only her. The glass wall slid open, and Daniel looked up. His eyes met hers with no surprise, almost as if he had been expecting her. "You watch me," he said simply, his voice calm, not accusing. The Queen froze but did not deny it. "I must know what you are," she replied. Daniel gave a soft laugh, shaking his head. "I am human, nothing more. But perhaps that is enough." His words unsettled her again. Why did he speak as if his very existence was proof of strength? Why did every sentence feel like a blade cutting into her beliefs? The Queen stepped closer. "Your kind cannot give life beyond your world," she said firmly. "It is impossible. My people have proved it for centuries." Daniel's gaze did not waver. "Then maybe your people did not look deep enough," he said, "or maybe they did not want to see." Silence stretched between them. The hum of the ship echoed like a heartbeat. The Queen felt heat rise in her chest. Not anger, but doubt. She wanted to strike him down, to silence his words forever. But instead she turned and left, her footsteps heavy, her mind in chaos. In the following days, her doubt grew. Every report from the scientists brought her no comfort. They tried to explain away the results. They called them errors, mutations, random chance. But she knew better. The machines had not lied. Her own body whispered to her with every breath she took. Something had begun inside her, and it terrified her more than any war. The council soon noticed her distraction. They questioned her. "Why do you waste time on one human? Our empire has greater enemies than weak creatures from Earth." But she dismissed them with cold words. She could not reveal the truth, not yet. If they knew what she suspected, they would destroy Daniel before she had answers. Late at night, she returned again to his chamber. This time she did not speak of science. She asked him of Earth, of the blue oceans, of the green forests, of the crowded cities filled with life. Daniel spoke simply, but every word carried warmth. He told her of laughter, of families, of children running under open skies. Things she had never seen. Things her empire, with all its power, could not give her. The Queen listened, and in her chest the shadow of doubt turned into something else. It was not just fear, it was longing for something beyond power, longing for a truth her empire could never teach her. When she finally left him that night, her steps were unsteady. She placed her hand against her stomach as she walked through the silent halls. She felt the faintest stir, a whisper inside her body. She told herself it was nothing. But deep down, she knew the truth. The Queen of the Stars was no longer certain of who she was. And the human prisoner she had captured was no longer just a subject. He was the spark that had set her entire world on fire. The Queen of the Stars was used to certainty. Her every word was law. Her every command obeyed without question. But now her nights were filled with restless thoughts. Her body felt different. Her mind carried questions she had never dared to ask. Days turned into weeks, and the strange signs grew stronger. At first, she ignored them. She told herself it was stress, the weight of command. But deep in her heart, she knew the truth was waiting, waiting to be faced, waiting to shatter everything she believed. One evening, she ordered the laboratory sealed. No council, no guards, only her and a trusted scientist. The machines hummed as they scanned her body. She stood tall, hiding her fear behind cold eyes. The scientist bowed nervously as results appeared on the glowing screen. The Queen's hands tightened at her side. "What do you see?" she demanded. The scientist hesitated, his voice trembling. "My Queen, the readings show life. It is small, but it is there, growing inside you." The room fell silent. The hum of the machines sounded like thunder in her ears. She, the queen of a mighty empire, the ruler who had mocked humans as weak and useless, now carried proof that her people had been wrong, proof growing inside her body. Her breath caught in her throat. Her voice was sharp, almost broken. "Are you certain?" The scientist fell to his knees. "Yes, my queen, the readings cannot lie. You carry a child, a hybrid born of human seed." The queen's vision blurred for a moment. She pressed her palm to her stomach. The weight of the revelation crashed over her. It was impossible. It was forbidden. Yet it was real. She dismissed the scientist with a single wave. "Speak of this to no one," she commanded. The man fled in fear, leaving her alone in the glowing chamber. She stood in silence, her armor heavy, her crown meaningless. For the first time in her life, she felt truly vulnerable. Her empire had been built on the idea that humans were dust. But the child inside her was proof they were more than dust, proof they could shape the future. Later that night, she walked through the silent halls toward Daniel's chamber. The guard stepped aside, sensing her strange mood. The glass door opened, and Daniel rose from the bench where he sat. His eyes studied her face. He seemed to know before she even spoke. "You feel it now, don't you?" he said softly. The queen froze. Her pride screamed at her to deny it. But her body, her heart, betrayed her. "Yes," she whispered, her voice unsteady. "There is life, and it is yours." Daniel's eyes softened, not with surprise, but with quiet certainty. "I told you," he said. "Humans survive. We adapt, we grow, even where no one believes we can." The queen gripped the bars of his chamber, her strength shaking the steel. "This changes everything," she hissed. "If my council learns of this, they will kill you. They will kill the child. And they will kill me for breaking the law of blood." Daniel stepped closer, his hand pressing against the glass. "Then you must decide. Will you keep hiding in fear to council? Or will you protect what is already growing inside you?" Her chest tightened. Her heart thundered in her ears. She, who had commanded fleets and conquered worlds, now stood before one human, trembling like a child. Her whole empire was at stake, but so was her own soul. She turned sharply, leaving his chamber without another word. But as she walked the halls, her hand rested against her stomach again. No matter how much she tried to deny it, she felt the faintest stir of warmth inside her, a pulse of new life that tied her fate to his. For the first time in her reign, the Queen of the Stars was afraid, not of enemies, not of war, but of the truth growing within her, a truth that could destroy her empire, or create a future neither human nor alien had ever dreamed. The Queen of the Stars had never known fear. She had faced enemies with fleets of war. She had crushed rebellions with fire and steel. But now, fear lived inside her body. It grew quietly with every passing day. It grew as the child inside her grew. Her secret was becoming harder to hide. The Council of Elders noticed her distraction. They whispered in dark halls. They studied her movements, her silence, her absence from meetings. The queen who once stood tall now carried a shadow in her eyes. One evening, the council gathered before her throne, their voices sharp, filled with suspicion. "My queen," one elder said, "you have locked yourself away too often. You refuse to share the results of your experiments. Why do you guard this human with such care?" The queen's jaw tightened. Her crimson eyes glowed with cold fire. "Because he holds answers you cannot understand," she said. But her words only deepened their doubt. They bowed but did not trust her. Their silence was filled with hidden danger. Meanwhile, Daniel sat in his chamber. He felt the weight of the storm rising outside his glass walls. The guards spoke in hushed tones when they passed. He saw how their eyes burned with hatred. He knew they would not let him live if the truth was revealed. One night, the queen returned to him. Her steps were quick, her face pale. Daniel rose to his feet, sensing her fear. "They suspect, don't they?" he asked. The queen nodded, her hand pressing against her stomach. "They will not stop until they uncover the truth. And if they do, you will die, and so will this child." Daniel's eyes burned with quiet determination. "Then you must choose," he said. "You cannot stand between two worlds forever. Either you protect your empire, or you protect your child." Her voice shook as she whispered, "I was born to rule, but now I carry something that could destroy everything I built." Daniel's gaze softened, or something that could save it. The queen turned away, torn between duty and desire. Her people demanded loyalty, but her heart demanded truth. The conflict soon burst into the open. The council summoned her to a secret chamber. There, beneath the glowing pillars of judgment, they confronted her. "You carry something," one elder hissed. "Your aura is different. Your blood sings with a rhythm not our own. Tell us what you hide, or we will tear it from you." The queen's claws curled into fists. Her pride screamed to defy them. But her hand unconsciously moved to her stomach. And in that single motion, the council saw the truth. Gasps filled the chamber. "This cannot be," one elder cried. "A queen carrying hybrid blood? It is treason. It is abomination." The queen rose to her full height. Her voice thundered like storm. "It is not abomination. It is life. A life stronger than you can imagine. A life born of survival, of hope. A life you fear because it proves you were wrong." The chamber shook with outrage. The elders shouted for her removal. Some demanded the child be destroyed before it was born. Others demanded Daniel's execution at once. The queen stood alone. Her council turned into enemies. Her empire no longer under her full command. The conflict had begun, a war not only for her throne, but for the future of two species. That night, she returned to Daniel's chamber with fire in her eyes. "They know," she said, her voice heavy. "They will come for you. They will come for me. We are no longer safe." Daniel stepped forward, his hand resting on the glass. "Then let them come," he said firmly, "because you are not alone. You carry more than fear now. You carry the future." The queen's heart pounded. Her fear had turned into rage. Her doubt had turned into fire. The conflict was no longer hidden in whispers. It had broken into the open, and the stars themselves would soon tremble. The Queen of the Stars had always stood alone. Her throne was her fortress, her crown her weapon. But now, isolation became a prison she could not escape. Her council had turned against her. Her empire whispered of betrayal. And yet, inside her body grew a secret that gave her both fear and hope. Every night, she returned to Daniel's chamber. The guards believed she came to interrogate him. But in truth, she came because he was the only one who understood. She sat in silence while he spoke of earth, of skies filled with light, of oceans that stretched forever, of children laughing under trees. Things she had never known, things her empire had stolen from her heart long ago. At first, she told herself it was only curiosity. She was gathering information, nothing more. But slowly, she realized his words healed a wound she never knew she carried. For the first time, she felt less like a queen and more like a woman. One evening, she stepped inside without her armor. Her robes flowed softly, her crown left behind. Daniel looked at her, surprised by the change. "You look different," he said quietly. The queen hesitated before answering. "I am tired of being only a weapon. For once, I want to feel human." Daniel gave a faint smile. "You already do," he said, "because you carry life inside you. And life is what makes us human." Her heart trembled at his words. No one in her empire had ever spoken to her this way. Not as a ruler, not as a warrior, but as someone who carried dreams. She sat beside him, the glass wall separating them. Yet the silence between them felt smaller than ever. The bond between them grew. It was not spoken in grand declarations. It was built in quiet moments. The way he listened, the way she allowed herself to laugh softly at his stories, the way she pressed her hand to the glass, and the way he placed his hand against hers, separated by steel, but united in something far stronger. As the weeks passed, the child within her stirred. She felt the faintest pulses, not of fear, but of life. Each time it moved, she thought of Daniel, and she knew the bond between them was no longer just words. It was written in blood, but danger pressed closer every day. The council had spies, the guards carried suspicion. One night, alarms blared across the ship. The queen rushed to Daniel's chamber, her eyes burning with urgency. "They are coming," she said, her voice sharp. "They will try to kill you. They will try to kill what we created." Daniel stood tall, his calmness unshaken. "Then you must protect it," he said. "Not because I ask you, but because it is part of you now." Her chest ached at his words. She had conquered worlds, but never had she been given a choice so heavy, to protect her empire or to protect her child. But when she looked into Daniel's eyes, she felt the answer had already been made. That night, she stood at the window of her throne room. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the glass. And for the first time, she imagined a different future. A future where her child could walk under skies of two worlds. A future where humans and aliens were not enemies, but one blood. The bond between her and Daniel had become unbreakable. It was more than duty, more than survival. It was trust, it was hope. It was the fire that would guide her through the coming storm. And as the ship sailed silently through the dark sea of stars, the queen whispered to herself, "They may take my throne, they may take my crown, but they will never take this bond, because it is stronger than fear. It is stronger than war. It is the beginning of something no empire can stop." The alien ship drifted across the stars like a silent beast. But inside, war was ready to break. The council had gathered fleets, their voices loud with anger. They called the queen a traitor, a mother of abomination. They demanded her throne, demanded the death of the unborn child, and demanded the human's execution. The queen stood in her throne room, her crimson eyes burning. She was no longer only a ruler of an empire. She was a mother, carrying life that defied the laws of her people. The council's threats no longer filled her with fear. Instead, they filled her with fire. Daniel was brought to her side in secret. Guards loyal to her still obeyed. He looked at her with calm strength. "They will not stop," he said. "They fear what we have created, because it is something stronger than their empire." The queen nodded, her hand resting against her stomach. "They will come with warships. They will come with fire, but I will not let them take this child. Not while I live." Outside, the council's fleet surrounded the great ship. Their voices echoed through the calms. "Surrender the human, surrender the child, or your reign ends tonight." The queen's answer was sharp. "My reign may end, but my child will not. You call it an abomination, but I call it the future, and the future cannot be killed." The battle began. Ships clashed in the darkness of space. Blue fire lit the stars. The queen's loyal guards fought fiercely, but the enemy was many. The great ship shook under the storm of war. In the chaos, Daniel stayed near her. Though he was human, unarmed, untrained for battle, his presence gave her strength. "You are not alone," he told her. Whatever happens, remember that. The queen fought like fire itself. Her commands guided her fleet. Her voice roared across the halls. But even as she fought, she knew the future could not be won with weapons alone. When the enemy breached the throne room, she stood tall with Daniel beside her. The counselors stormed forward, their blades drawn. But before they could strike, the queen placed her hand upon her stomach, and her voice thundered through the hall. "Look at me," she cried. "Look at what I carry. You fear it because it breaks your lies. But this life is proof that strength is not in blood alone. Strength is in survival, in unity, in what we can build together." The hall fell silent. Even the fiercest warriors froze at her words. The child within her was no longer just hers. It was a symbol that the old truths had ended, and something new had begun. The battle outside raged on, but inside the counselors faltered. Some lowered their weapons. Some turned their eyes away. For the first time, doubt spread through the empire. The same doubt that had once shaken the queen now spread to all. Daniel stepped forward, his voice steady. "You cannot stop the future," he said. "You can kill us, but you cannot kill what has already begun. Because this child is not just ours. It is yours too. It is the bridge between our worlds." The queen felt her chest tighten, not with fear, but with hope. The council could not answer. The truth was too heavy, too undeniable. That night, the battle slowed. The fleets withdrew, not in defeat, but in silence. The empire was no longer united in hatred. It was divided, trembling, uncertain of what would come. The queen stood by the great window of her throne room. The stars stretched endlessly before her. Daniel stood at her side. She pressed her hand gently to her stomach, and for the first time she smiled. "This is not the end," she whispered. "This is the beginning. The future of my people. The future of your people. The future of a child who will carry both worlds inside them." Daniel nodded, his eyes soft. "The future," he said, "and it starts with us." The ship sailed on, through silence, through stars, carrying a queen, a human, and a child, carrying the first hope of something greater than war, the first hope of a new destiny, a future no empire could ever stop.